Hello and welcome back to the Tomarosa. Every once in a while, my model railroad, as seen behind me, makes an appearance in the background of some of our videos, much like it's doing now. And we always get comments asking about it, so I thought I would make a video about it. In fact, I'm probably going to make a series of videos about it. For me, I've been into model railroading my entire life. My dad liked trains. He grew up having a Lionel layout in his basement. And I had a layout when I was growing up. In the Coast Guard, I actually built a small layout once. And it was pretty fun. But moving around all the time is hard on layouts. And so it unfortunately didn't last. So now that I've retired and I don't plan on moving ever again, we've started a new layout up here in the upstairs of our house. For model railroaders, there's a couple different tacks you can take. Many people are prototypical, so they want to take something in real life and model it in miniature down to the exact detail. Other people are freelance. They just do whatever they feel like doing. And I am somewhere in between. I have prototypical inspirations, but I also take some creative liberties along the way. I am modeling the Pend Oreille Valley Railroad. It's a real railroad. It runs from Newport, Washington to Metaline Falls, Washington. It's just one valley to the east of our valley. It was established upon the abandonment of the Milwaukee Road in the western states. So originally it was a Milwaukee Road branch. So I model from Newport to Metaline Falls. So let me show you more about our layout. Overall, my model railroad is 4 feet by 8 feet. That's kind of a common size for model railroaders, especially for people starting out. It's what's known as a cookie cutter construction. So this all started out as basically one sheet of plywood, and then I traced the track onto it and took a jigsaw and cut it into a bunch of pieces. Actually, it's still pretty much one piece. It's just got different sections cut to allow for different grades. It is, however, a local piece of plywood. The layout is controlled with an old school direct current cab control. So I have a power pack there with 2 throttles. I can run 2 trains at once. This is a kind of an old school way to operate a model railroad. Partly because a lot of my locomotives are older locomotives. The newer style that's becoming popular is a digital command control. The overall design of my layout is a figure 8 over and under with a branch line. So you can kind of see the figure 8 there, and then there's a branch line that breaks off and comes up to this plateau where there's a Y. The scale of my model railroad is HO, meaning it's 1 to 87. 1 inch measured on my layout would equal 87 inches in real life. The track on my layout is mostly Atlas Code 83, flex track and turnouts. I use Caboose Industry ground throws for the switches. The exception being is I have a pair of curved switches here to allow a crossover. These are Pico Code 100. Eventually I'm going to install, these are Rick's ground throws, and they operate when you throw the switch. This area of the layout represents Newport, Washington. And this is where the branch line comes in and meets the figure 8 main line. And I do have this structure here, which I'm very proud of. This is a wood kit. It is a Great Northern standard portable depot. While I do not know if this depot ever existed in Newport, I do know for a fact that the Great Northern Railway used this depot right here in Blue Creek, where our farm is located. This spur here that goes behind the depot and then splits off is on the Burlington Northern line. And here where the Carnation Milk boxcar is parked will eventually be the Newport Creamery. Of course, as a dairy farmer, I have to have some dairy elements on the layout. For my creamery, I do have a great selection of milk trucks, including some Carnation milk trucks because my family hauled milk for the Carnation Company. This is a classic Metalworks model. I built this milk truck here to represent my family's milk truck. So the blue is a perfect match to what was used on the family's milk trucks because I actually used the same paint that I use on 12. And then another Carnation delivery truck. This is also classic Metalworks. So I have a nice fleet of milk trucks to park at the Newport Creamery once it gets built. That's going to be a scratch building project. Looking forward to that. So over here, kind of where these trucks are parked, along this spur here, I'm going to have a lumber loading dock. The timber industry is a big part of Northeast Washington economy. So that's going to be Newport. You know, I'll fill it out with a few small stores and some houses, but this section represents Newport. Oh, I almost forgot. This right here. So this little spur is going to be my maritime element. Being in the Coast Guard, I had to have some sort of maritime element, and so I decided that I'd take some creative liberties and basically model a slough off the Pend Oreille River. That's what this lower section here is. There'll be a pier face along this track, and it will be for unloading logs. In fact, the town Newport is named because it was a new port on the Pend Oreille River, which used to run steamboats and such. Especially before the railways became really popular in the area. This Y section on this plateau is going to represent the town of Metaline Falls, which is the northern terminus of the Pend Oreille Valley Railroad. Here, closest to me at the end of this spur, I will have a depot that I'm going to scratch build. At this end of the spur, where the crane is parked, will be my cement silos. You can see I already have the base plate kind of laid out here, figuring out where I'm going to put it. Metaline Falls was established as a company town for a concrete plant, or cement plant I should say. And I also have a log loading area for loading log cars. I have more rolling stock on the layout than I'll probably have when I'm actually operating it, but I thought I'd give you an overview. So first we have this Atlas Burlington Northern locomotive. It's pretty much straight out of the box. I haven't really done anything to it. It's a good locomotive. It was a gift from my dad, so I really like it. And of course, I like cabooses too, so I have to have a caboose on the train. Here we have a Milwaukee Road locomotive. This is a Walther's train line. For lack of a better term, I'll just call it a train set locomotive. But it's a good runner, so I really like it. I redid the number boards on the front, and then I don't know if you caught it, but I put a plow on the front as well. I should add that these wood chip loads are authentic Northeast Washington wood chips. And then, of course, another caboose, because I like cabooses. Up here in Metaline Falls, I have my two Pend Oreille Valley Railroad locomotives, both custom painted. Really, I only use one of these locomotives at a time on here just because of space. They're both Athearn blue box locomotives, nothing fancy. And some 2-bay hopper cars for cement. This structure here is what we call a kit bash. It's partly a kit, partly scratch built. What this represents is a forest fire lookout tower. They're all over the northwest, and it will adorn a mountain on my layout eventually. But if you look in there, you can see there's a little dude with binoculars looking for fires. This is a Campbell wood kit curved trestle. It was pretty tedious to build. I bought this off eBay, and of course there's no instructions. And it was missing parts, so I had to cut some more wood and buy some dowels from the hardware store. But overall, I think it turned out really good. Once it gets scenic, it'll really fit the space really nice. I'm really excited about having this tall trestle. Most of my previous layouts were pretty flat, so this is exciting for me. So what's next? More structures to build. Building this depot here, I had such a good time that I actually made a video all about it. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, structures, and eventually sometime we need to start on the land forming, making mountains and tunnels and valleys and just giving some shape to the layout so it's not just a plywood empire. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Tomarosa. Well, that's embarrassing. Let's try that shot again.